Ben Shephard had always seemed like the man who had everything under control. On screen, he was warm, steady, and effortlessly charming, the kind of presenter who could brighten a room with just a smile. Fans loved him for his humor, his gentle spirit, and the way he made every moment feel easy. But behind all the lights and laughter, there was something else, something quieter, something he had never truly spoken aloud. It was a quiet evening at home when everything changed, the kind of evening meant for relaxation, soft conversations, and the comfortable familiarity that comes from years of love and partnership. Ben and his wife, Annie, had settled into their usual rhythm, talking about work, life, and the endless balancing act that came with living in the public eye. It was nothing new, until it was. In the middle of their conversation, Ben paused. Not a dramatic pause, just a stillness, unusual enough for Annie to notice instantly. His expression softened, his shoulders lowered, and suddenly the man who spent his life lifting others up looked like he was carrying something he could no longer keep inside. When he finally spoke, his voice wasn't full of jokes or polished presenter charm. It was real, honest, trembling with weight. He told Annie the truth he had locked away behind smiles and long workdays. He admitted that he had been running on empty, that burnout had crept into his life so quietly he didn't even realize how exhausted he had become. He was tired in a way that sleep didn't fix, weighted in a way that laughter didn't fully hide, and he confessed that he didn't know how to say it before now. For years, Ben had juggled early mornings, daytime TV schedules, constant traveling, and the unspoken expectation to always be cheerful, always energetic, always on. He pushed and pushed, giving everything to his career, to his audience, to his responsibilities. But somewhere along the way, he forgot to give anything back to himself. As Ben opened up, Annie listened with wide, emotional eyes, not shocked by his vulnerability, but by how long he had carried this alone. She had always thought she could read him completely. She thought she knew every flicker of emotion in his expressions. But this had been buried deeper than she realized. Witnesses close to the couple described the moment as tender and overwhelming. Annie didn't say much at first. She didn't need to. She moved closer, took his hands, and wrapped him in an embrace that said everything words couldn't. It was the kind of embrace that only comes from decades of partnership, steady, warm, strong, and full of love. Ben continued, explaining how the transition to new presenting roles, the intensity of live television, and the constant pressure to deliver had slowly chipped away at his emotional reserves. He didn't want to disappoint his colleagues. He didn't want to let down the viewers who invited him into their homes every morning. And he didn't want to burden Annie with his fears. But that night, the walls came down. And when they did, something incredible happened. The moment didn't break them. It brought them closer. Annie held him like she wasn't letting go, reassuring him that vulnerability was not weakness, it was trust. She told him he didn't have to carry everything alone, and in that quiet space, filled only with soft breaths and gentle comfort, Ben realized he had finally allowed himself to be seen, fully seen, by the woman who loved him most. From that night forward, everything shifted. Annie became even more protective of his time, encouraging him to slow his pace and take breaks he had long ignored. She helped him draw stronger boundaries, shielding him from overcommitment and reminding him that rest wasn't selfish, it was necessary. And Ben, relieved and finally breathing easier, began embracing the idea of balance without guilt. Friends who visited the couple noticed the difference immediately. Their home felt calmer, lighter, filled with a renewed sense of closeness. Annie made sure he had quiet mornings when he needed them, long walks when he wanted them, and moments of humor when he craved a break from seriousness. She reminded him, with a playful nudge or a loving smile, that he didn't have to be a superhero. He only had to be himself. Ben also found his spark returning. The weight that had once pressed on his chest felt lighter. His laughter became freer, more real. His energy, which had once been stretched thin, began to rebuild, slowly but steadily. and every time he looked at Annie, he was reminded of the moment that changed everything. To the world, Ben remained the cheerful presenter they adored, but now fans saw him with new understanding. His admission, once private, now known through close sources, touched people deeply. Social media filled with messages of support, admiration, and heartfelt appreciation. Viewers shared their own experiences with burnout, thanking him for being honest, even indirectly. People who had struggled in silence felt seen, inspired by the idea that even someone as seemingly unbreakable as Ben could reach a point where he needed to stop, breathe, and ask for help. The confession did not weaken his image, it humanized it. It reminded everyone that behind every bright studio light is a real person, with real emotions and real limits. As Ben continued adjusting his life in the days and weeks that followed, Annie stayed by his side with her unwavering love. She became his reminder to rest, his partner in laughter, and his strongest supporter. Their relationship, already built on years of trust and genuine affection, grew even deeper. Ben often said he regretted not opening up sooner, but Annie would smile and shake her head, telling him the moment happened exactly when it was meant to. What mattered wasn't the timing, it was the honesty. And that honesty changed everything. Today, Ben Shephard is embracing a new chapter, one filled with better balance, quieter mornings, and a deeper appreciation for the love that surrounds him. He's taking things one step at a time, rebuilding his energy, cherishing his family, and learning that strength isn't about carrying everything alone. Sometimes, strength means sharing the weight. What began as an emotional confession has become a turning point, not just for Ben, but for everyone who loves him. It showed the world a man who is human, who is learning, who is healing, and who is rising again with renewed purpose. And through it all, Annie stands by him, offering the same steady, loving presence she has always given, the kind of love that doesn't fade under pressure, but grows stronger through truth. For Ben, the moment left him changed. For Annie, it reminded her why their bond was unshakable. And for fans, it revealed a new side of a familiar face, a man learning to rest, recharge, and move forward with the woman who has always been his heart.